everybody. Good evening from Kennedy Space Center. I'm space reporter Rachel Joy.
And I'm Antonia Jaramillo, and we're part of the Florida Today space team. We're here at the Florida Today, USA Today Blockhouse for what's a very important launch.
Absolutely. So this is the SpaceX launch of a satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency. The satellite's called SAOCOM, SAOCOM. We've just been calling it SAOCOM.
Yes.
Kind of everybody's winging in on that pronunciation.
Yeah, it's technically like SAOCOM-1B. It's the second part of the SAOCOM constellation. This is completing that for the Argentinian Space Agency. And basically, it's an Earth observation satellite.
Yep. And because it's an Earth observation satellite, it is going to be going into polar orbit. What that means for us here on the Space Coast is that SpaceX actually has to launch it heading south down the coast of Florida. So typically when we launch from here, rockets are going east, kind of sometimes going northish, but they're never going south. They're never going all the way down the coast of Florida. So
yeah,
that's going to be really cool for people here in Florida to see the launch. They've really never seen it that way before.
I haven't never seen it that way. Neither have you. Neither has Emery. The last time was 1960.
Absolutely. But folks that are typically, down in whatever, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, the Keys, they're really not seeing a launch that well, but they're going to see it coming at them.
For sure.
To away.
Do you think they're going to think it's like an asteroid coming? It's the end of the world because this is 2020?
We totally might see lots of reports of people thinking there's like aliens.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, just had to end 2020 like this.
We're here to tell you it's just a SpaceX launch.
That's correct. Happens many times. Just a Falcon 9 rocket.
Yeah. One bad little piece of news though, which is that weather.
There's no go. No go.
We are currently actually at a no-go with
yes.
weather. SpaceX has not scrubbed the launch yet, though. We are still here, and I think they're really hoping for like a little tiny pocket.
For sure. I mean, they've begun fueling, and you don't want to begin fueling the rocket unless you have a very optimistic view or good chance of actually launching today. So the fact that they're fueling is a good sign, despite the fact that we are currently at a no-go for weather. But we have, what is it now, like 28 minutes?
So launch is for 7:18 p.m. That is what it's scheduled for, 7:18 p.m. So we're less than half an hour away. So we're all hopeful. We're hopeful there's going to be a little pocket of good weather.
Yeah.
But bad weather actually scrubbed the launch this morning. So
I know.
It wasn't officially scrubbed.
They just delayed.
Yeah. They went ahead and just said we're not even going to go for it. So SpaceX was going to attempt to launch a batch of Starlink satellites, another batch of 60.
Yep.
That was going to be this morning at 10 a.m.
From pad 39A, we can see it right outside our window. And I mean, it's kind of a bummer because it was going to be like such a historic kind of day. I mean, we were going to have two launches in one day. Yeah.
Double header, 9 hours apart. We were all super stoked about it. Really wanted to see it happen. I mean, everybody was. SpaceX, 45th Space Wing, everybody wants to pull that off.
Yeah.
And it will happen.
Maybe.
Not today.
Definitely not today.
So it doesn't bode well for the launch tonight, but
that's right.
They're still going for it.
Yeah, and the off chance that they don't go, I've seen them, they'll try to delay to tomorrow, but do you know for sure, Emery, do you know for sure if they would try tomorrow? Or will it?
I haven't heard that.
Well, just because at least in the weather squadron report, they then do the 24-hour delay. For Starlink, for instance, we know, which is the launch that got delayed today, they're not going to do a 24-hour push. They're waiting until Tuesday. That's a 48-hour push. And so then that's what makes me think then it's because if tonight's launch gets pushed, they might then just push it then for tomorrow. However, remember, we didn't even think this launch was going to happen yesterday because United Launch Alliance's Delta IV Heavy rocket got scrubbed at the last minute. And because this tonight's launch goes over Launch Complex 37, we thought then SpaceX would definitely also have to delay. But here we are.
Yeah. I mean, all kinds of things that we thought were going to delay this launch currently don't seem to be.
Yeah.
You might recall that only, 24 hours ago. No.
It's been more. It's been like 41 hours, 30 hours.
Early Saturday morning, you might have been with us as we were hopeful for the United Launch Alliance launch of the Delta IV Heavy. That did not happen. It got delayed, it got pushed, it had technical issues, and then it finally
At
had
T
a
minus
hot fire
3
abort.
seconds.
T minus 3 seconds, hot fire abort. It
Exactly.
was dramatic.
It was so dramatic. I mean, literally, the rocket ignited. We see this beautiful bright flash. We're outside with our cameras, videotaping the whole thing,
And then it's like,
and no rocket, nothing in sight.
yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, our other space reporter, Emery Kelly, was like, "Oh, it didn't go. It didn't go."
Yeah,
We're like, "Oh man,
dramatic."
such a bummer."
But that rocket with its payload is still sitting on the launch pad,
That's
which is
right.
really not very far away from the SpaceX launch right now.
That's right.
So there were lots of people speculating that they weren't going to be able to launch tonight because essentially the Delta would be in the way. If something were to happen,
Exactly.
it could blow up or it could somehow damage it.
Yeah.
But that too is
yeah, SpaceX is trying to, they're making it work, and the Eastern Range approves it. For ULA's Delta IV Heavy rocket, we actually don't know when that'll be next, but they have a minimum of 7 days. We actually have to wait a whole week to see if it'll actually even launch next week. So that's also interesting.
Hello, hello. Who do we have here? Jennifer's here. Hi.
Hi, Jennifer.
So we are here, hopeful for a 7:18 p.m. launch of the SpaceX SAOCOM satellite.
That's right.
By the by, it's also carrying 2 other smaller payloads.
Oh yeah, what are they?
Yes, we just found that out. So SpaceX has what it calls a rideshare program, in which they make a little extra money by getting some other payloads on that rocket. So there are 2 other smaller payloads. Honestly, the names are not easy to say. It was like
we can find that. We can try to pronounce them right here.
Yeah, it's like the Tyrex. Okay, here it is.
The Tyvac.
0172.
And then
the
Planet Q. Gnomes. Oh.
Basically, they're little satellites. I believe one of them might even be nanosats. So there are 2 more payloads on this mission.
You know, another cool thing about this mission, we're gonna hear some sonic booms here on the Space Coast. It's gonna be the first time in like almost 6 months that we hear them. Yeah. All the booster landings that have happened since March have all been on a drone ship. This is gonna be the first time that now they're landing back here at the Cape, which I don't know why that is. SpaceX hasn't said.
Unfortunately, they haven't told us. Yeah.
I mean, what we do know is that when they land here on land, it does require more fuel for the rocket, as opposed to doing a drone ship landing. So I guess they were able to use more fuel or have that extra fuel needed to come back here to land, as opposed to all the other launches that have happened since March.
Yeah.
So
potentially these satellites maybe aren't as heavy. The payload isn't as heavy. They're not using as much fuel. So maybe that's why they're able to come back.
Yeah. Do you know how much thrust we need for this one, Chica? Because you knew for ULA. Oh, Emery, do you know how much thrust that's needed to lift this rocket up today? Always? It's 1.7 million pounds. So that's less than ULA's Delta Heavies, which was 2.1 million, right?
Yes.
Okay.
2.1 million. So, okay, what do we know? We know that fueling has begun.
Yeah.
Do we know anything else?
No, right now the next big milestone would, I believe, happen at T minus 16 when then they start fueling the second stage. So right now they're still fueling that first stage, and then at T minus 16 they'll start fueling the second stage, and then the next big things start happening at T minus 7 minutes, when basically the launch director starts kind of saying that we can go, but it's not. But we have until T minus 60 seconds for SpaceX, for the launch director, to say we're going or not.
Okay.
But yeah, I hope there's a lot of people from South Florida that are going to be tuning in to watch this launch. If any of you guys are from South Florida, please let us know, because that's going to be awesome. You guys will definitely be able to see something if weather's clear.
We'd love to hear from you what it looks like. That's what we really don't know. You guys, here's the deal. We haven't seen one of these on the coast of Florida since 1960. And there's quite a bit of a fun little backstory. Let me just tell you real quick. So here we are. It's 1960. We're in the middle of the Cold War. And basically, we wanted to launch a spy satellite to take a look at the Soviets.
Right.
So 1960, launched this satellite. In order to get into a polar orbit, it had to go south. It went down the coast of Florida. It broke apart. It actually exploded, and it broke apart and fell on Cuba. Spacecraft debris fell on Cuba.
And what happened in Cuba?
And the cow died.
Oh.
They killed the cow.
Oh,
but
moo.
I know. Yes. But again, it was the Cold War, so we weren't exactly on friendly terms with Cuba at the time.
Are we still now?
So that almost caused an international incident, and in fact, there are reports that the Cubans, Fidel Castro, actually sold some of those spacecraft parts and that satellite to Russia and China. So it really did not work out well, and it was pretty dangerous to be going over a populated area. Ever since then, any satellite trying to get to a polar orbit launches from Vandenberg out in California.
Yeah.
Because then it can just go right over the ocean,
Mhm.
no problem. So this is a really big deal that we're doing this today for the first time in 60 years.
Yeah. Do you know why SpaceX decided then to do it here from the Cape instead of Vandenberg?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, basically, they want the efficiency, right? SpaceX is all about if they can process all of those rocket parts, if they can do everything in the same place, the better.
And they make all those rocket parts here at the Cape?
No, not necessarily, but sometimes the processing once it comes back.
It's just easier here.
Right. And also, I think that they also just want to open up the business here as well.
Yeah.
So
this is the Space Coast.
It is. And, there's also the notion that space activity, if you will, Florida is a little friendlier towards space activity than the state of California. We won't get into those kind of details, but you can just imagine what I'm saying. So it's a lot easier to do business in Florida. And so that's also another reason why they want to open up that business in Florida. And the way it actually happened was that the Air Force, 45th Space Wing, certified that any operator that was using that automatic flight termination flight system could go for a polar orbit.
Okay.
So right now, only SpaceX has
That's
that
right, because
capability.
ULA doesn't have that.
But ULA certainly is trying to have it. They're working on it, as is Blue Origin.
Of course. I mean, because they have to.
Yeah.
That's the next big thing.
So if this launch goes, we could see a lot more traffic here as more folks can launch polar orbit launches from here.
Definitely. Vandenberg's going to be bye-bye.
Okay. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think they want to hear that. There's a lot of great things happening out of Vandenberg.
I'm sure.
So we want to.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Steve Britt says at the bottom of the screen, it says no go. Yes or no, are we going to go? Well, right now we actually, we don't know, right, Emery? Is it still? So right now, weather is what's preventing that green light, so to speak, from us being able to lift off. But we still have a planned liftoff at 7:18 p.m. We have until T-minus 60 seconds for the SpaceX launch director to give that final yes or no. And basically then that's when we'll know. But they've begun fueling. We are T-minus 17 minutes. They're about to start fueling in the second stage. And they're proceeding towards liftoff. So, fingers crossed for sure.
They sure are. So 7:18 p.m. is what we're looking at. We are getting very close. And we haven't heard anything to say that they're not launching.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, guys, as a reminder, if they do launch, definitely about 8 minutes after launch?
Approximately 8 minutes after launch is when those boosters return to land, then we'll hear those sonic booms here on the Space Coast. I'm not sure where else you can hear them. Do you think you can? I mean,
I don't think
how
you would hear it.
right?
I don't think so.
No. So yeah, sorry for everyone else.
But everybody local, that is super exciting and super fun.
Definitely. I think that's like the best part.
From Jupiter. Hi, everybody. Melbourne Beach. Ooh, Melbourne Beach. Sharing the Melbourne Beach. I'm dying to know what it looks like. So please give us a little report. Let us know in the comment section what it looks like when it's coming south.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, what? Like,
yeah,
you've never been to Melbourne Beach?
No, but yeah.
No, when it lifts off, I got you for sure.
Hey, from Nigeria. What's up?
Nigeria. Very, very cool. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, I think we might be lagging a little bit.
SpaghettiOs.
Audio-wise.
What do we do?
I think we might be good.
Talking.
Yeah. Yeah, but are we synced? Like, perfect. Okay. Yeah. Steve says, fingers crossed. I agree, Steve. My fingers are crossed.
Yeah. I think we would just really like to see a launch.
I mean, they were supposed to be 3 launches this week.
A little frustrating.
I know.
Space reporter and a space fan.
For sure.
We've been chasing after launches all week long. It's been the rocket shuffle, reschedules, technical problems, weather, scrubs.
It's been a blur. It's been a blur. And I'm sure for everyone who's been out there also trying to watch the launches, I mean, I can't even imagine the people at the causeway for ULA's Delta Heavy at 2 a.m. getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. No, thank you. I wouldn't have wanted that. And for then that to get scrubbed at the last minute, for then this morning Starling to get scrubbed. So let's do this one.
We need a launch.
Yes.
We need a launch. We need a launch to happen.
Yeah, we do. Or else she'll cry.
And I won't cry.
Okay, I'll cry out of frustration.
Yes. Oh, anyway, so I think that that's the majority of the details.
You know, another actually interesting thing, we haven't really talked that much about the payload that's going up. So like we had mentioned, it's an Earth observation satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency. And actually one of the coolest tools or instruments of that satellite is what's called the integrated soil moisture map, which basically just means that it's going to help farmers know when is the best time to like water their crops, you know, sow their crops. Just it's all about farming. It's just going to help them farm better. Yeah, and it's also going to help them also anticipate like flooding in certain areas and things like that. And the way the instrument does that is all through radar. And so it's actually going to be a very, very useful tool for the agriculture industry.
And there is a lot of agriculture in Argentina.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, you guys, you might remember, this launch was actually scheduled way back in April.
Yeah.
And then
no, April or March.
It might have been March and then pushed to April, but basically coronavirus happened. COVID-19 happened.
And the poor Argentinians couldn't come.
That's right. The Argentinians, you know, there was a travel ban and they could not make it for the launch.
That's right.
So we actually they had to push and push. The Argentinians did come. They've been here. They quarantined.
Yes.
They've been here for quite some time.
They've been here since, July, was it? Or late June. They've been here for now almost like 2 months at least. So I know they definitely want this baby to fly. Because, oof.
Oh, there it is. You can see there on the pad is the rocket. It's got the cool little SAOCOM logo on it. So you can see the weather. I mean, it doesn't look great. Doesn't look horrible. There's little pockets of blue there.
Yeah, I mean, the main weather concern, if I'm not mistaken, was just a lot of like that thick cloud layer rule, correct? So it's just that thick cloud coverage. I mean, because even this morning, when they canceled Starlink, the weather didn't even look that bad, but it was just because of the weather that was going to happen during liftoff that they decided then to scrub or, well, delay the launch. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's other times where we're like, this definitely isn't going to launch because it looks like there's a tornado coming or it's just like heavily downpouring. But now it's like, it doesn't look bad, but I mean, there are clouds. It is cloudy. Yeah. So, and that's the main weather concern apparently. And it's only 40% go weather-wise.
Right.
So, ay.
T-minus 12 minutes and 45 seconds.
I wonder if anyone from Argentina is watching our launch right now. That would be really cool. If you are, please let us know because this is a big day for your country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the SAOCOM satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency.
That's right.
Do you know the actual name? It's CONA.
Yeah, CONA.
Do you know what that stands for? Or
I do, but I'd have to like look it up, which I can.
Tony speaks Spanish, and so she actually has checked out the Twitter feed of that Argentinian Space Agency a couple times. How we've been able to keep on top of this mission. So are they saying anything?
Right now, just the latest thing. I mean, they're excited. They're like, we're all ready. Here's the team and everything. It's very cute. They're all there with like their masks and whatnot. But yeah, they are.
It looks like a very young team too. Don't
yes,
they?
for sure.
It's a very young team, which is a lot of young engineers, and we've got some venting going on. So there's some movement. Emery, any update in terms of milestones?
Nope. I'm still waiting for T-minus 60 to decide, so 10 minutes.
Got you. Okay. So we're waiting until the last possible minute. So I found out what it stands for. It's called Comisión Nacional de Actividades Espaciales, which basically means just space activities of like the National Committee, the National Committee
gotcha.
of Space Activities. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So that's the launch that's going up tonight, hopefully at 7:18 p.m. if the weather cooperates. Clearly, they're looking for a little window to make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean,
and SpaceX has been lucky before. We've done this dance with them before.
oh, so many
It
times.
didn't seem like it was possible, and it happened.
And at the last second, yeah, the sun just shine right on through. You know, and for this launch, it basically does have to launch at 7:18 p.m. They really don't have much wiggle room, unlike ULA's Delta.
Right?
It's like, I think like the 5-minute window, but if I'm not mistaken, I mean, like, do they actually have time in those 5 minutes to do anything if they can't launch at 7:18, Emery?
Just wait for weather.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they have 5 minutes to wait for better weather, which
Yes.
can make the difference here.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's just, it won't be like ULA's where they had hours to wait and we were there twiddling our thumbs.
We're not going to play that kind of waiting game tonight.
Which is honestly good for us.
It's so much more exciting too for a launch. It's sort of like, here's the launch time, and you either sort of want it to go or no go.
Yes.
It's just sort of the wait. Nobody's super.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially like it's one thing to have a very long launch window and you have the liftoff time and it goes for that and then that's perfect.
What?
We're go. Yeah, so weather is go right now. That's great news. We have 9 minutes until liftoff, so let's hope it stays. Exactly. We just need weather to cooperate for the next 9 minutes. But yeah, no, it's very, very exciting. It's going to be very exciting to see at least one of the 3 planned launches this week happen.
So guys, if you're just joining us, weather is a go. That just happened. So we're looking pretty good now for this launch at 7:18 p.m. And this is the first polar orbit launch from the Space Coast in 60 years. And it's the first polar orbit launch for SpaceX from Florida ever. Up until this point, they've done all their polar orbit launches from Vandenberg in California. So this is the first time they're going to be doing it in Florida ever. For sure. SpaceX just likes to do a bunch of milestones, let's be honest. They like to make they like to just like break records. They do. But partially it's just because they are the first company that's ever doing any of this. Yeah. They're the first commercial company doing this kind of stuff. So this is exciting. The reason it's a polar orbit is because it is a Earth observation satellite, and those satellites do well. They do better in an orbit in which it's orbiting literally around the poles of the planet, the north and south poles. Right. The other cool thing though for us here in Florida is that means it's going to be taking a southern trajectory, right? So typically satellites launch out to the east or sort of northeast. Or like southeast even, but sure, but not just like a due south. Nope, not they don't go straight. If you're in West Palm, or down the coast, if you're in Fort Lauderdale, if you're in Miami, if you're in the Keys, it's coming right at you. Yeah, it's gonna go past Florida. Don't freak out. Yeah, no, don't freak out. They've done lots and lots of safety analysis, including the FAA is also. That's right. Yeah, you're safe. Yeah, it's not an asteroid. Right. Yes. It's also then going to go directly over Cuba, literally right down the middle of Cuba. And the 45th Space Wing assured me that the State Department has informed Cuba, so it's not going to be a surprise for them this time. Aww. They know it's coming. So obviously hopeful nothing is going to happen. It's going to be fine. It's going to be safe, and it's going to get that satellite into the right trajectory. Right. No, for sure. We're hoping for the best. What's great also too for here on the Space Coast is we're going to get to hear some sonic booms 8 minutes after liftoff. We are right now go for weather, and we are 6 minutes out until liftoff. So should we go to the launch webcast now, or? Let's do a real quick check of questions. If anybody has anything we could answer real quick. Yeah, let's. Joanne says, I don't want any more scrubs. No kidding. Yeah, we don't want any more either. No one does. Oh, Tom says my mic isn't very good. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. I wonder if I'll have to fix that next time, Tom. Thank you. Rob Landers, shout out to Emery. Well, there you go. Hello. We got a shout out. Palm Beach County represent. got lots of folks watching.
Palm Beach County. Okay, that's more south.
Yeah, Palm Beach. We're going to be very interested to know what you see.
Yeah, let us
Anybody
know.
down south, please, please, please come back and write in the comments what you see. I might even use your writing in my story. But
Nothing.
sorry.
No.
I was going to say tweet. I was going to say I don't know what your
your comment.
comment.
There. Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. After liftoff, we will be back to inform you how this, how the landing for the first stage goes and everything, if it's successful and whatnot. And so therefore, hopefully that'll be also enough time for you guys to let us know how the rocket looks like wherever you guys are. So please also keep us posted. That will be great. We are T-minus 5 minutes away until liftoff. Very, very exciting. I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm not going to say anything because I also
what it looks like?
know about like if it's gonna go or not. Because at T-minus 60 seconds for ULA Delta Heavy, I was like, we're going, and it didn't. So
I could have anticipated that though. That was crazy.
yeah, I mean, especially there were so many other photographers there at the Causeway who have been, you know, covering launches for decades now, and they were like, never in my life have I seen a like a hot launch abort or something. They hadn't seen that either. So it's not, I think, a common occurrence for sure.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So we are only minutes away. We're going to go ahead and set up outside so that we can see it. So 7:18 p.m., moments away from the SpaceX launch of the SAOCOM satellite, an Earth observation satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency, and also the first polar orbit launch from Cape Canaveral in 60 years. So if this happens today, very much a historic launch. And we're also really excited about that landing.
For sure. I want to hear some sonic booms. I want to hear Rachel scream. It's great. All right. We'll see you guys after liftoff, hopefully. Fingers crossed, everyone. And enjoy a happy launch, hopefully.
Absolutely. Okay. We'll be back.
It's now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The vehicle remains in good health, but the weather is actually now go. The status has changed last minute. In terms of fuel, the first and second stages are now fully fueled with RP1. LOX loading will continue for the next few minutes. And also one thing you'll hear 1 minute before liftoff, you'll hear the announcement that Falcon 9 is in startup mode. This means that the rocket's own internal computers are now autonomously controlling the launch countdown. The SAOCOM-1B payload continues to be healthy. The Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the rocket. Weather has just recently opened up and is looking good, and the range is green for launch. As a reminder, if we don't launch today, we do have that backup opportunity tomorrow, pending range acceptance at 7:19 p.m. Eastern local time. And with just under 3 minutes to go before launch, let's listen in to the final countdown prior to liftoff. All right, our 9 Merlin engines on the first stage are chilled. They're ready for flight. The LOX loading will complete on that second stage in just a few seconds. Once that occurs, you'll start seeing more of this white clouds venting.
Stage 2 LOX close out.
And as our LOX is fully loaded and it's topped off, you'll start seeing this condensation, these clouds form more and more right up until liftoff.
Falcon 9's in startup.
All right, we have entered startup mode. Falcon 9 has taken over the remainder of the countdown. We're just waiting for the go for launch callouts.
Stage 2, present for flight. LD, go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon's first East Coast polar launch, Ola, Argentina.
Stage 1, portion nominal.
We're now 40 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 has taken off. It's cleared the tower, and we're currently throttling down to prepare for maximum Q. That's the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. It's at 1 minute, 12 seconds.
Vehicle is supersonic. Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure.
You've heard it. We've reached max Q. At this point, the loads in the vehicle become less and less as the atmosphere gets thinner. We're now able to throttle those
Vehicle's
Merlin
clear,
engines back up. And at its maximum power, like right now,
And,
the vehicle
engine chill
consumes
started.
more than 700 gallons of fuel per second. All is looking good with our first stage's trajectory. The next couple events, there are 5 events, one after another. First, our main engine cuts off on our first stage. The stages will separate. Our first stage will then flip around to begin its landing attempt. The second stage's Merlin vacuum engine will ignite for second engine start 1. The first stage's boost back burn will start. It's one of 3 burns to help us land. They occur one after another in about 15 seconds. And this is that first polar orbit. If the clouds, you can see through the clouds here, you'll see some unique views you haven't seen from Falcon 9 over Florida.
And we have Miko.
Stage separation confirmed.
And ignition.
All right, all of those events happen successfully one after another. This boost back burn, it'll last about 40 seconds. And so you see it on the left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side, you will see our second stage carrying those 3 satellites to orbit. And coming up next in about 20 seconds, that boost back burn will end, and then we'll have our fairing deployment.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
All right, one of those first landing burn, the boost back burns has successfully ended. Our 2 fairing halves will now jettison to expose the satellites to space. And you see the first stage has already been a turnaround, and you can see the nitrogen from our attitude control system helping guide it back.
Fairing separation confirmed.
There you see our 2 fairing
Acquisition
halves
signal, Bermuda.
have jettisoned. You can even see them in the background there on our MVAC engine, and you can see them from land too. It'll take us some time to get those to come back down. We'll keep you posted on the update.
We are T plus 4 minutes and 13 seconds into flight. Everything is looking great for tonight's mission. On the right-hand side of your screen is a view of our second stage, specifically its Merlin vacuum engine. We also call it MVAC engine for short. It's currently in the first of its first and only planned MVAC burn. The first burn should last for about another 4 minutes. On the left-hand side of your screen is a view of our first stage looking downward. It's continuing to fall back towards Earth. Next milestone for the first stage is its first stage entry burn. Falcon 9 needs to execute an entry burn to slow itself down before hitting the dense parts of the atmosphere. Without this second burn, relying on the atmosphere alone to slow Falcon 9 down would put unnecessary strain on the rocket. That entry burn is coming up at T plus 6 minutes and 10
Second stage
seconds.
is following nominal trajectory.
Acquisition of signal, South Texas.
You may have also noticed that we've deployed our 4 hypersonic grip fins. Those are the honeycomb-like structures that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. They help to guide the first stage back during descent by moving the center of pressure on the vehicle. Again, those bursts of gas are nitrogen. It's absolutely normal, and those help to orient the rocket during its descent back towards Earth. And we're about 20 seconds away from our second burn, the entry burn.
Stage 2 FTS has safed.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And 3 Merlin engines have relit and are currently slowing the first stage down before it hits those dense parts of the atmosphere. Second stage on the right-hand side of your screen is continuing to perform as expected.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And that is our second burn completed. And as we mentioned earlier, we are going to be attempting to recover this booster back at land on landing zone 1. The first stage has one more burn left.
Is saved.
That is the landing burn. It begins just before we
Second
touch
stage
down
still
and
following
provides the
nominal
booster with
trajectory.
a soft descent before we land. During this period, the landing legs will also be deploying. You might be able to catch it right before we touch down. They're stowed at the base of the vehicle and made up of state-of-the-art carbon fiber and aluminum honeycomb.
Stage 1 transonic.
You can see the Cape getting closer and closer. What a cool view. The first stage is passing through the cloud layers right now.
Stage 1 landing burn startup.
And here comes Falcon 9 attempting its 4th landing.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And you could not ask
Stage
for
1
a
landing
better
burn.
landing than that. Falcon 9 has landed once again. That is number 4 for this first stage booster and the 58th overall of an orbital class rocket. What a way to start off tonight's mission. The second stage and our primary mission are still continuing and remain healthy. The next milestone for the second stage is second engine cutoff 1, also known as SAOCOM-1, and that is coming up at T plus 10 minutes and 5 seconds. During second engine cutoff 1, we'll be shutting down the second stage's MVAC engine. And as we approach this period, we'll be listening very closely for 2 callouts: verification of SAOCOM-1 and then confirmation of a good orbital insertion. Both are going to be critical to ensuring that we deliver all 3 payloads to their intended orbits tonight. And while we're waiting for
Hey guys, we're back. I mean, what an amazing launch.
It was awesome.
For
So
sure.
different looking.
So different. I mean, what we usually see the launch when the rocket lifts off, it kind of goes from right to left in our view, and this time it was just a total straight shot, absolutely 90-degree, and then it just made this like sharp turn right instead of left. Very, very cool. And then as always for us here on the Space Coast, we got to hear those fabulous sonic booms. It had definitely been a while. Even I jumped and everything.
Yeah, I just saw that booster come perfectly
Yes.
straight down. Amazing.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So awesome job, SpaceX. They just successfully launched their first satellite, they just launched their first rocket from Cape Canaveral that's headed
for a polar orbit. They just had their first polar orbit launch.
Thank you. So let me try that one more time. SpaceX just completed their first ever polar orbit launch here in Cape Canaveral. So that was really exciting for all of us. First time in 60 years. And it just looked different. It sounded different. It was just very cool.
It was a great sight to see. And as always, great to see a launch. We're very, very happy we were able to have one this week.
We were able to close out this week with a launch.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Now the next launch is for this coming Tuesday for SpaceX's Starlink satellite. So make sure to follow Florida Today for our space coverage, and let's hope for another great launch week.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, everybody. See you later.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Acquisition of signal, Peru.
Well, welcome back from our mini coast phase. For those of you just joining us, we successfully launched our Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral on a polar orbit trajectory. We had a successful stage separation, a successful land landing, the fourth landing for this booster, and we're waiting the deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite. It's just about 10 seconds, 15 seconds away. It's the second and final satellite in this constellation. We first launched its sister satellite, SAOCOM-1A, in the fall of 2018.
SAOCOM separation confirmed.
All right, you've seen it, we heard it. Successful deployment of that SAOCOM-1B satellite. And as a reminder, this satellite and SAOCOM-1A's satellite's goal is to gather soil moisture. It helps increase the productivity and competitiveness of the agriculture sector. It helps us generate risk maps that can help control crop disease. It helps implement better fertilizer systems and provide early flood warnings. These two SAOCOM satellites work together with Italy's Cosmos SkyMed constellation, and they work together by providing up to 225 Earth images per day. But we still do have 2 satellites left to deploy. We're going to go into another coast phase. This one will last about 45 minutes. We're going to take a break, but we're leaving you with an animation that shows where we are in that coast phase. We'll be back at about T+1 hour for the deployment of the Tyvak 0172 and GNOMES 1 rideshare satellites. We'll see you then.
Countdown net, spacecraft team reports good solar array deploy.
Oh, also signal Peru expected. Acquisition signal reef.
Welcome back to the webcast of the SAOCOM-1B mission. If you're just joining us, we're wrapping up our coast phase and close to the end of today's mission, which launched this evening at 7:18 p.m. Eastern. We then had successful lighting and shutdown of our second stage Merlin vacuum engine, then a successful deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite for Argentina's National Space Program. Coming up, we have the deployment of our two rideshare satellites. First up is the GNOMES-1 satellite for Planet IQ that occurs at T+1 hour, 1 minute and 37 seconds, followed shortly after by the TIVAC 0172 satellite. For the GNOMES-1 satellite, due to the placement of our cameras, it's not likely that we'll have visual confirmation of the GNOMES-1 deployment, so we'll be listening in on the communication channels for that. And a little bit more about Planet IQ. They design, build, launch, and operate one of the most advanced constellation of radio occultation weather forecasting satellites. Radio occultation is a technology that measures and analyzes the signals generated by GPS satellites to determine weather data such as pressure, temperature, and water vapor. This data is used in weather forecast models to greatly improve the accuracy and extend the range of weather predictions. And here's a fun fact about Planet IQ's microsatellite. It's about the size of a carry-on bag, weighing about 39 kilograms or 86 pounds. We're a few seconds out from the GNOMES-1 payload deploy.
Planet IQ separation confirmed.
And we did get confirmation that the GNOMES-1 satellite did successfully separate. We're now waiting on our final deployment today, and that is of the TIVAC 0172 satellite. And for this one, we should be able to see the deployment. We're just about 15 to 20 seconds out.
TIVAC separation confirmed.
And we did get confirmation of the TIVAC 0172 satellite separation. That is our last payload for tonight. It's been an exciting evening. We saw a successful liftoff from our Cape Canaveral Air Force Station launch pad at 7:18 p.m. Eastern, the first polar orbit launch for SpaceX at the Cape, and the first originating from Florida in decades. From there, a successful stage separation, a land landing of our first stage back at Landing Zone 1, which marks, and this is a small correction, the 59th landing of an orbital class rocket, not the 58th. And finally, the deployment of the SAOCOM-1B satellite for the Argentinian Space Agency, along with our two rideshare customers. With that said, we will be bringing our web